Marcus Hale never expected his quiet assignment on Varellum Haven to turn into something dangerous. The neutral star station was supposed to be peaceful, a trading point where dozens of alien species lived and moved under strict security laws. For Marcus, a human security engineer, it meant long shifts, checking scanners, clearing cargo, and repairing malfunctioning panels. Nothing more exciting than that. He enjoyed the calm routine, and he enjoyed the feeling that every day was predictable. On the morning everything changed. The station was decorated for the Aurelii Cultural Parade. Colorful banners hung across the high glass ceilings, shimmering with tiny particles that reflected the lights. The Aurelii were a noble species known for their glowing, crystalline skin and their graceful way of speaking. They visited Varellum Haven once every cycle to share their arts and songs. Marcus had seen them before from a distance, but he never had reason to interact with them. His job was simply to stand guard, monitor scanners, and make sure the crowd stayed orderly. He walked his usual patrol route along the upper walkway that overlooked the main plaza. People gathered below, whispering with excitement. Children pointed at the stage where Aurelii dancers prepared their instruments. Marcus watched quietly, leaning on a railing. He didn't smile often, but something about seeing families gathered together made him feel at ease. Even though he was far from Earth, moments like these made the galaxy feel small and connected. A gentle vibration rolled through the walkway as the parade began. Harmonic bells chimed, sending waves of musical light through the air. The crowd gasped in wonder. Marcus checked his wrist scanner out of habit. No unusual readings, no signs of danger. Everything appeared normal. Then, without warning, the lights above flickered. Marcus frowned and tapped his scanner again. A spike of unstable energy flashed across the screen. Before he could alert Central Command, a booming explosion erupted from the northwest platform. The shockwave slammed into the plaza like a hammer. People screamed, objects flew. The beautiful harmony was replaced with chaos. Marcus's instincts kicked in. He pushed away from the railing and ran toward the source of the blast. Smoke rose quickly, making it hard to see. Fire suppression bots rushed in, spraying white mist into the air. Alarms echoed across the station. Marcus's heart pounded, but his mind stayed focused. Find survivors, guide people to safety, check for secondary threats. He reached the platform and saw debris everywhere. A large metal beam, blown loose by the explosion, groaned overhead and threatened to fall. Panicked civilians ran in every direction, desperate to escape before anything else collapsed. And then, through the thick smoke, Marcus spotted something small and trembling near the center of the destruction. It was a child. Not human, but Aurelii glowing faintly even through the dust. The little girl stood frozen, her crystal blue eyes wide with fear. She was far too close to the unstable beam hanging above her. Marcus felt his chest tighten. He shouted at her to move, but she didn't seem to understand his words. She was too scared to run. He didn't think. He didn't calculate. He just moved. Marcus sprinted across the unstable floor. Sharp fragments cut into his arms and legs, but he ignored the pain. All he saw was the child standing under the shadow of the falling beam. Alarms blared louder, warning of imminent structural collapse. People yelled for him to stop, but he kept going. The beam snapped. Marcus threw himself forward with all the strength he had. He reached the child just as the massive metal piece dropped from above. He grabbed her small form and pulled her close, wrapping himself around her like a shield. The impact slammed into his back. He felt a sharp burst of pain, then the cold floor beneath him. Dust filled his lungs, but he held the child tight, refusing to loosen his arms, even as his body screamed in pain. For a few seconds, there was only silence. Then distant voices shouted orders. Aurelii guards rushed in, their armor glowing bright gold as they lifted the beam away. One guard reached for the child, but Marcus didn't release her until he heard her soft cry and realized she was unharmed. Only then did he allow himself to breathe. The guards carefully lifted the young girl from Marcus's arms and checked her for injuries. She looked shaken, her crystal skin dim with fear, but she was alive. She stared at Marcus with wide, shimmering eyes. He managed a weak smile, even though every muscle in his body hurt. "He saved her," one guard exclaimed. "Unbelievable." "A human shielded the royal heir," another murmured. Marcus blinked. "Royal heir?" Before he could ask anything, his vision blurred. The pain and exhaustion he had ignored finally overcame him. The last thing he saw before collapsing was the Aurelii child, reaching out a small hand toward him. When Marcus woke, he wasn't on the damaged platform. He wasn't even on a standard medbay cot. He lay on an elegant, glowing bed that felt too soft for a station facility. The room around him shimmered with pale blue light. Crystal-like structures lined the walls, each pulsing with gentle energy. His wounds no longer burned, and he felt strangely light, as if the air itself carried healing properties. He tried to sit up, but his tired muscles protested. That was when he noticed someone standing beside him. A tall woman with silver-gold skin watched him closely. Her presence filled the room like a warm but powerful breeze. Her crystal crown marked her identity clearly. Queen Seraphine of the Aurelii Dominion. Marcus's breath caught. He had never been this close to a royal figure before. Her eyes glowed with deep concern, not anger or cold formality. There was something in her expression that felt almost grateful. "You are awake," she said softly, her voice like a gentle echo of wind through glass. Marcus rubbed his forehead. "Where am I?" "In the royal medical chamber," the queen answered. "You were brought here after saving my daughter's life." The words struck him. He stared at her. "Your daughter?" "Los. She is the child you protected," Seraphine said, stepping closer. "Princess Leora." Marcus didn't know what to say. He had seen a frightened child and acted on instinct. He didn't expect attention, praise, or anything like this. Saving people was part of his duty, regardless of species or status. The queen studied his face, almost reading his thoughts. "You risked your life with no regard for who she was. Such bravery is rare, even among my highest warriors." Marcus shifted uncomfortably. Anyone would have done the same. "No," Seraphine replied, her voice firm. "Many would hesitate. Many would fear our differences. But you moved without hesitation." Marcus wasn't used to receiving such words. He lowered his gaze, unsure how to respond. His thoughts drifted to the child, Princess Leora. "Is she all right?" "She is unharmed, thanks to you," the queen said. "She asked for you when she woke. It surprised my council. Children of her age rarely form attachments so quickly." Marcus didn't know how to react to that, either. He was just relieved she was safe. Queen Seraphine watched him for a long moment, her expression shifting slightly. It was not anger, not sadness, something deeper, something ancient and ceremonial. "There is something you must know," she said. Marcus looked at her, confused. "Among the Aurelii," she continued, "saving the life of a royal bloodline creates a sacred bond. You protected Princess Leora with your own body. By our ancient law, this act places you under the protection of the royal house." Marcus blinked. "Under your protection? It is called the life bond," she said. "A pledge between the rescuer and the throne. It cannot be refused by the crown, or by the rescuer." He stared at her, stunned. "Are you saying I'm bound to your family now?" "You are," she said softly. "By our law and by our honor, you are now claimed by the Aurelii monarchy. Your life is tied to ours. You will be watched over, as one of our own." Marcus felt the weight of her words settle in the room like a silent storm. He didn't understand the full meaning yet, but he understood one thing clearly: his life had changed forever. The queen stepped closer, her glowing eyes serious and warm at the same time. "Human Marcus Hale," she said. "Your courage has earned you a place that no human has held before." He swallowed, trying to process everything. Then the door opened quietly. Princess Leora peeked inside, her eyes glowing softly. When she saw Marcus awake, she ran to him with small, careful steps. She held his hand gently, as if afraid he might disappear. Marcus felt his chest tighten with an emotion he couldn't name. The little princess smiled up at him, completely trusting. Queen Seraphine watched the two of them silently. For the first time, he saw her expression soften not as a queen, but as a mother. And in that moment, Marcus understood why the Aurelii guards had looked at him with such shock and respect. He had not just saved a child, he had saved the heart of a kingdom, and the Aurelii queen had claimed him because of it. Marcus Hale spent the next few hours trying to understand the strange and complicated situation he had fallen into. The Aurelii Royal Medical Chamber was peaceful, glowing with soft blue light that healed his wounds faster than any human technology he had ever seen. But the calm atmosphere didn't match the storm building in his mind. He kept thinking about the Queen's words, life bond, claimed by the Aurelii monarchy, protected like one of their own. It felt unreal, like something from an ancient story, rather than real life. Princess Leora sat beside his bed almost the entire time. The young alien girl didn't speak much, but she held Marcus's hand with gentle determination, as if making sure he didn't disappear. Her presence made everything feel heavier but also strangely comforting. Her bright eyes followed his every movement. Whenever he shifted his arm or let out a small sigh, she reacted with a worried expression. Marcus couldn't help but smile softly at her concern. Queen Seraphine returned not long after, accompanied by two high-ranking advisors. They looked serious. Aurelii seriousness was different from humans. Their crystal-like skin dimmed slightly, marking concern or deep thought. Marcus sat up straight, unsure what was expected of him. The Queen spoke first. "Human Marcus, the Council wishes to discuss the terms under which you will now live." Marcus tensed. "Define terms?" The older advisor, a tall Aurelii male with deep gold patterns across his skin, stepped forward. "According to ancient law, the life bond means the throne must take responsibility for your safety, future, education in our customs, and integration into royal service." "Integration?" Marcus echoed, not sure he liked where this was going. "You cannot remain an ordinary station engineer," the Queen said. Her tone wasn't harsh, only factual. "Your act of bravery has placed you in a position of honor among the Aurelii. You are now connected to the royal family." Marcus rubbed the back of his neck. "I didn't save her to gain a position or title. I just did what anyone should have done." "Not anyone," Seraphine corrected gently. "There were others closer to the blast. Some froze. Some ran. But you ran toward danger. That choice carries meaning." Princess Leora nodded quickly, still holding Marcus's hand as if agreeing with every word. The Queen continued. "You must understand, Marcus Hale. For our people, courage is sacred. To shield a child with your body." She paused, her eyes softening. "It is a gesture so rare that even our greatest warriors speak of it with awe." Marcus didn't know how to respond. Compliments made him uncomfortable. Praise felt heavier than the falling metal beam that had hit him earlier. He took a breath. "What does this life bond mean for my future?" "It means," the advisor said, "you cannot be harmed without it being considered an attack on the royal house. You are now a protected figure. You will be moved to the Aurelii Palace," another advisor added. "You will live among us, learn our customs, and receive training." Marcus stared. "Training? For what?" Queen Seraphine gave him a steady look. "For your new role as protector of Princess Leora." Marcus blinked. "Protector? I'm not a soldier." "You do not need to be one," she replied. "Leora trusts you more than anyone else now. The bond she formed with you cannot be ignored." Leora squeezed his hand again, as if confirming everything. Marcus slowly nodded. The idea of being a protector felt natural in a way he didn't expect. He had saved her once. He would do it again. He knew that, without needing to think, but he also knew this wasn't a small responsibility. And Earth? Humans? "My own people? We will inform human officials," Seraphine said. "There may be negotiations, but your safety and identity are now tied to the Aurelii. We will handle the political matters." Fourth, Marcus leaned back, overwhelmed. He had signed up for a quiet job, not interstellar political involvement. but fate had thrown him into something far larger than himself. The queen stepped closer. You may feel uncertain now, but I assure you, we do not bind you in chains. The life bond is not a prison. It is a promise. You will be honored, protected, and respected among us. Marcus nodded slowly. I need some time to understand. You will have it, Seraphine said. But the palace awaits. You must come with us. Later that cycle, Marcus left the medical chamber and boarded a sleek Aurelii transport vessel. Princess Leora refused to leave his side, walking beside him with small, careful steps. The guards watched him with a mixture of awe and curiosity. Humans were not common inside the Aurelii royal domain. The palace was unlike anything Marcus had ever seen. It rose from the ground like a tower of living crystal, reflecting shimmering colors across the sky. The halls glowed softly, as if carrying a heartbeat. Every surface seemed alive with quiet energy. Servants and officials bowed respectfully when the queen passed. But many glanced at Marcus with surprise. A human walking beside the queen and princess was almost unheard of. Inside, a team prepared a room for him, spacious, warm, full of shimmering lights and soft materials that felt comforting despite being alien. The queen insisted he rest, while his training schedule was arranged. But rest didn't come easily. Marcus lay on the soft bed, staring at the glowing ceiling. His mind spun. He had come to a space station to do simple work. Now he was in an alien palace, being treated like a royal guardian, bound by a law he never knew existed. It felt surreal. A soft knock interrupted his thoughts. Princess Leora peeked in again. She walked toward him, carrying a small, glowing sphere. A toy or comfort object, he guessed. She climbed onto the chair beside his bed, swinging her small legs gently. Shield heart, she whispered. Marcus blinked. What? Did you call me? It is an Aurelii title, Seraphine said from the doorway, entering quietly. A child gives this name to the one who protected them with their life. Marcus felt a strange warmth in his chest. It means that much? It means everything. The queen approached him and looked down at her daughter with a soft expression. She feels safe with you. That is something priceless. Marcus looked at Leora, who smiled shyly and placed the glowing sphere in his hands. As the days passed, Marcus began learning more about Aurelii culture. Their technology was advanced but gentle. Their combat style was elegant, relying on energy manipulation and defensive forms. Their beliefs centered around harmony, honor, and the value of selfless protection. Instructors taught Marcus basic energy shield forms, meditation techniques, and diplomatic etiquette. They wanted him to fit in, to understand their people, and to stand confidently beside the princess if danger ever returned. He wasn't a natural, but he worked hard. He didn't want to disappoint the child who looked at him like he was her personal hero. Meanwhile, the investigation into the explosion continued. Marcus visited the intelligence chamber where Aurelii investigators studied fragments of the bomb. They explained that the explosive energy signature didn't match any random criminal group. It belonged to a hostile faction linked to an old Aurelii political rivalry. It wasn't an accident. It was an assassination attempt. Marcus felt a cold chill. Someone tried to kill her? Yes, an investigator said. And they are not finished. That sentence stayed in Marcus's mind long after he left the chamber. Leora wasn't just a child, she was the heir to a powerful throne, and enemies were willing to destroy everything to destabilize the Aurelii dominion. That night, Marcus couldn't sleep. He stood on the balcony outside his room, looking across the glowing city. The palace hummed softly behind him. He thought about Earth, about his life before this moment, about the calm routine he once knew. But he knew he couldn't go back to that life now. He had been pulled into something bigger. He heard light footsteps behind him. Turning, he saw Queen Seraphine approaching. You cannot sleep, she said softly. Marcus sighed. I'm trying to understand all of this. Why did this happen? Who wants to hurt your daughter? Why did I get involved? I don't know how to make sense of it. Seraphine stood beside him, looking out over the glowing city. You got involved because you have a brave heart. That is something rare. Even in a galaxy filled with warriors. Marcus looked down at his hands. Can I really protect her? I'm human, not Aurelie. I'm not trained like your guards. You protected her once, the Queen said. Not with weapons. Not with training, but with instinct. That is why I trust you. Marcus took a deep breath. Hearing that from a queen meant more than he expected. Suddenly, an alarm echoed through the palace. Marcus and the Queen turned sharply toward the sound. Guards rushed past them, shouting orders. Unauthorized presence detected inside the palace, one guard yelled. Marcus's heart skipped a beat. Seraphine's expression hardened instantly. Marcus Hale, she ordered. Go to Princess Leora. Protect her at all costs. Marcus didn't hesitate. He ran through the glowing halls, sprinting toward the princess's room. The threat had returned, and this time, the danger was already inside the palace. Marcus sprinted through the glowing palace halls, his heart pounding harder with every step. The soft lights that usually made the place look peaceful now flickered in warning. Alarms echoed from every direction. Guards rushed past him, their crystal armor shining bright as they formed protective lines around key palace areas. But Marcus didn't stop to watch. He didn't stop to think. He only had one goal in mind. Reach Princess Leora. He slid around a corner and nearly collided with a group of Aurelii servants who hurried past, fear etched on their shimmering faces. They gasped when they saw Marcus, then pointed frantically toward the east wing. That was where Leora's room was. Marcus nodded in thanks and ran harder. He reached the princess's chamber just as two guards attempted to seal the door. They looked relieved when they recognized him. Human Marcus inside, quickly, one guard said. Marcus entered the room, and the moment he stepped inside, Leora rushed to him. She threw her small arms around his waist, trembling with fear. Shieldheart, she whispered shakily, clinging tightly to him. Marcus knelt down and placed a gentle hand on her head. I'm here. I won't let anything happen to you. The guards sealed the door, forming a protective barrier made of golden energy. But even then, Marcus knew the danger was closer than anyone expected. The alarms were not loud. They were urgent. Palace defenses did not activate unless a threat had bypassed multiple layers of security. He lifted Leora into his arms. She held onto him firmly, burying her face in his shoulder. Marcus scanned the room. There was only one exit, and if the intruders had already breached the palace, they might be heading here. Stay near me, Marcus said softly. Whatever happens, don't let go. There was no time to plan. No time to think of strategy or wait for reinforcements. The danger was moving fast, and he needed to act now. He tightened his hold on Leora and approached the hidden passage he had learned about during his training. Aurelie palaces always had escape routes for emergencies. Marcus had memorized the layout carefully, knowing one day he might need it. He pressed his hand against a small glowing crystal embedded in the wall. The secret panel slid open with a faint hum. The tunnel beyond was narrow and dark, but safe. Or at least safer than the open room. Before stepping inside, Marcus turned to the guards. Hold the line. The Queen will come soon. We will protect the royal heir with our lives, one guard said firmly. Marcus nodded and entered the tunnel, carrying Leora close. He had barely taken 10 steps before a loud blast shook the palace. The energy barrier behind them flickered. Marcus felt the vibrations through the walls. His instincts screamed danger. They're here, he whispered. Leora tightened her grip around his neck. Don't leave me. I won't, Marcus said. I promise. He moved deeper into the tunnel. The air grew cooler, the light dimmer. The palace above groaned as if struck by heavy force. Marcus kept his steps quiet but quick, listening carefully. Every sound echoed. Every vibration felt like it could be an intruder. Halfway through the passage, a thin beam of strange red light shot past Marcus's shoulder and struck the wall ahead. He froze instantly. Someone had fired at them from behind. He turned slowly and saw a figure emerging at the far end of the tunnel. The intruder walked with confident steps, wearing dark Aurelie armor marked with crimson lines. His crystal skin glowed with a cold blue hue, and his eyes burned with hatred. "You must be the human," the intruder said. His voice echoed strangely in the narrow passage. "The one who ruined everything." Quote. Marcus positioned himself between the attacker and Leora. "Who are you?" "A true Aurelii," the man spat. "Not like the queen who bows to peace. Not like the child you carry. I am the rightful heir of the old line. The one who should rule. Not that soft-hearted Seraphine." Marcus understood instantly. This wasn't a random attacker. He was part of the faction that wanted to destabilize the Aurelii Dominion by targeting its future. "You tried to kill her during the parade," Marcus said. The intruder smiled cruelly. "Yes. And I will finish what I started." Marcus's grip around Leora tightened. She whimpered softly but didn't cry. She trusted him. Even now. "Hand the girl to me, human," the intruder demanded, lifting his weapon. "She will not suffer if you cooperate." Marcus took a slow breath. He felt fear, but he also felt something stronger, a powerful sense of responsibility. He had saved Leora once. He would not fail her now. "No," Marcus said firmly. The intruder's expression twisted with anger. "You think your courage matters? You are nothing compared to Aureli's strength." "I don't need to be stronger," Marcus said. "I just need to protect her." Marcus shifted into a defensive stance, remembering the techniques he had learned from the palace trainers. He wasn't a warrior, but he had heart. And sometimes, heart was enough. The attacker lunged forward. Marcus dodged to the side, shielding Leora with his body. Energy sparks exploded against the tunnel wall. Marcus felt heat brush his shoulder. But he didn't waver. He kicked at the intruder's knees, forcing him to stumble. The child in his arms made fighting difficult, but Marcus refused to set her down. Leora clung to him, trusting him completely. "You cannot win!" the intruder shouted, firing another blast. Marcus rolled behind a crystal pillar, panting. He had no weapon, no armor, just instinct. But instinct told him one thing clearly: he had to move, not hide. He sprinted forward. The intruder fired again, but Marcus twisted his body, using the narrow walls for cover. He closed the distance and slammed his shoulder into the attacker, knocking him backward. They crashed hard onto the floor. Marcus twisted his body to shield Leora from the impact. Pain shot through his ribs, but he gritted his teeth and pushed himself up again. The intruder snarled and swung an energy blade. Marcus blocked the strike with his forearm, feeling a burning sensation. But he refused to let go of Leora. "You fight like a beast," the intruder hissed. "I fight for her," Marcus said. He rammed his knee into the attacker's chest. The man gasped. Marcus seized the moment and used all his strength to shove him backward. The attacker stumbled, lost balance, and fell into a deeper section of the tunnel. Marcus didn't wait to see if he would rise. He turned and ran with Leora in his arms. His lungs burned. Sweat ran down his face. But he kept moving. At the end of the tunnel, light spilled from an exit. Marcus rushed through it and found himself in a hidden courtyard behind the palace, safe for now. But only for a moment. A new group of palace guards appeared, led by Queen Seraphine herself. Her expression changed instantly when she saw Marcus carrying her daughter. "Marcus!" she cried, rushing forward. Leora reached toward her mother, still clinging to Marcus's neck. Seraphine embraced them both, relief flooding her features. She gently took Leora into her arms, checking her carefully. "You protected her again," Seraphine whispered, emotion thick in her voice. "Even when the danger was upon you." Marcus breathed heavily, leaning against the wall for support. He's still inside the tunnels. He's armed and strong. "He will be handled," Seraphine said sharply to her guards. "Seize the intruder. No mercy for the enemy of the crown." The guards dashed inside without hesitation. Seraphine turned back to Marcus. There was no anger, no fear, only deep respect and something even warmer. "You have saved my daughter twice," she said. "And you have proven that the life bond was not an accident of fate. It was destiny." Marcus looked at the queen, unsure what to say. I only did what I could. You did more, Seraphine said softly. You stood against a trained warrior while carrying a child. That is courage beyond measure. Leora stretched her arms back toward Marcus. Seraphine allowed him to hold her again, recognizing the depth of trust between them. When the guards returned, they confirmed the intruder had been captured. The palace was secure again. But something far more important happened that day. Queen Seraphine summoned the entire royal council. In a grand hall, before shimmering crystal banners and rows of noble Aurelii, she stood with Leora on one side and Marcus on the other. This human, Seraphine announced, her voice echoing through the chamber, has saved the life of my daughter not once, but twice. He faced death with no hesitation. He has shown a heart stronger than any weapon. Therefore, I declare Marcus Hale, the royal guardian of Princess Leora. Gasps filled the hall. No human had ever been granted such an honor. Marcus felt stunned. Your Majesty, The queen raised a hand gently. You are no longer just a visitor to our world. You are family to us. From this day forward, your life is protected by the Aurelii throne. Leora held Marcus's hand tightly, smiling up at him. Shieldheart stays, she whispered happily. Marcus looked at the child, then at the queen, then at the watching nobles. Something warm settled in his chest, a sense of belonging he had not felt in years. He knelt respectfully before the queen. Then I accept. I will protect her for as long as I live. Seraphine placed her glowing hand on his shoulder. And we will protect you, Marcus Hale, the human who shielded our future. That day, news spread across the galaxy. Humans were no longer seen as simple newcomers to interstellar society. They were seen as guardians capable of great courage. And Marcus, once just a quiet engineer, now stood as a symbol of hope, loyalty, and the power of a human heart. The stars had changed his destiny, and he had changed theirs in return. The days that followed Marcus Hale's appointment as royal guardian were filled with change not only for him, but for the entire Aurelii dominion. Word spread across star systems faster than any royal announcement before. The story of a human who threw himself over a royal child, survived an assassination attempt, and fought off a trained Aurelii rebel became the focus of every news channel. Some called it bravery, others called it destiny. But to Marcus, it still felt surreal. Training became a daily routine. Unlike before, the palace instructors now treated Marcus with full seriousness. They taught him how to control lightweight energy shields, how to read subtle shifts in Aurelii body language, and how to understand the hidden political currents of the galaxy. Marcus didn't turn into a warrior overnight, but his determination impressed even the hardest instructors. Princess Leora followed him everywhere. Whenever he practiced with energy weapons, she sat nearby with a glowing crystal toy, cheering softly. Whenever he ran training laps across the palace courtyard, she ran after him with short, fast steps, never keeping up, but never giving up either. The guards would smile when they watched her copy Marcus's movements, as if she wanted to grow strong just like him. One afternoon, Marcus was in the palace gardens, practicing defensive forms. He held a small energy shield in one hand and moved carefully around glowing plants that hummed with soft sound. Leora watched him with fascination. Shieldheart, she called. When I grow bigger, will you teach me like that? Marcus lowered his shield and knelt beside her. I will teach you everything I know. She smiled brightly, glowing faintly as the Aurelii did when they felt joy. Moments like these made Marcus feel strangely at home in a place that had once felt so alien. But not everyone was happy. Rumors began spreading that rival factions in the Dominion were furious at the Queen's decision. Some nobles felt threatened by a human holding such an important role. Some thought it was disrespectful to old traditions, and some believed Marcus's presence would change the balance of power between humans and Aurelii forever. The Queen was fully aware of this. She summoned Marcus to her private chamber one evening, where she stood beside a large window that looked over the shining city. There is something we must speak about, Seraphine said, her tone gentle but serious. Marcus approached her. Is something wrong? Not wrong, she said, but delicate. Your new position brings greatness with it, but also danger. Marcus nodded. I expected that. Seraphine turned toward him. Some nobles fear your influence. They believe humans will gain too much power through you. They may attempt to manipulate you, or even remove you. Marcus's expression hardened. Remove me. Not through violence, she said quickly. That would break the life bond law. But through political pressure. Through twisting your actions. Through convincing others that you are a threat we cannot control. Marcus took a slow breath. What do I do? Remain close to us, Seraphine said. Stay strong. And trust that we stand with you. Marcus nodded. I will. Before they could speak further, a soft sound echoed near the door. Leora peeked inside, smiling sleepily. She ran to Marcus and hugged his leg. Seraphine watched them with warm eyes. She adores you. That alone gives you strength against every political enemy. Marcus lifted Leora into his arms. I'll never fail her. That, Seraphine said softly, is why the throne will never abandon you. The next cycle, everything changed again. Marcus, Leora, and a group of guards traveled with Queen Seraphine to the Grand Council Hall, where representatives of every Aurelii region were gathering. It was a ceremony meant to confirm Marcus's new role officially. The hall was enormous, made of crystalline walls that reflected light in grand patterns. Thousands of Aurelii nobles sat in curved rows that rose toward the high ceiling. When Marcus entered with the queen and princess, whispers spread across the hall like waves. Some nobles stared at him with curiosity, others with cold suspicion, a few with quiet respect. Queen Seraphine stepped onto the central platform and raised her hand for silence. Today, she announced, we gather to honor an act of courage that has shaped our future. The hall grew silent. A human, she continued, saved our heir twice. He faced death without hesitation. He carries no royal blood, yet his heart shines brighter than any crystal. Marcus Hale is not here because of his species, he is here because of his spirit. Marcus felt the weight of thousands of eyes on him. Leora held his hand tightly, her small fingers warm against his. A noblewoman from the right row stood. Her skin glowed bright blue with pride. I support the Queen's choice. Courage knows no species. A nobleman on the left rose with a cold expression. But he is human. He does not belong in our court. Seraphine's eyes hardened. The life bond law is older than any of us. It recognizes actions, not blood. He earned his place. The nobleman stepped forward. Then let him prove himself in a trial. Let him show he is truly worthy. A murmur spread across the hall. Trials were ancient, sacred, and dangerous. Seraphine's eyes flashed. No, but Marcus stepped forward. Your Majesty, I accept. The entire hall went silent. Seraphine turned sharply toward him. Marcus, I protected Leora because it was right, he said. I will face whatever trial you set. Not for power, not for a title, but to prove I stand with your people. As one of them. Leora's eyes widened. She gripped his robe tightly. Shield heart. Seraphine looked conflicted. But after a long moment, she nodded. Very well. The trial will be conducted today. Marcus was led to the center of the hall, where a large circle of glowing symbols lit up beneath his feet. It was an energy maze. An ancient Aurelii test of courage, heart, and instinct. Marcus had heard of it but never seen it. He entered the maze. Walls of light rose around him. Shifting illusions appeared, frightening shapes, strange sounds, confusing twists that made him doubt his path. The maze tested his fear. It tried to break his confidence. It showed images of failure, danger, and moments when he had been afraid in life. But Marcus kept moving. He remembered the explosion. He remembered holding Leora. He remembered facing the attacker in the tunnel. He remembered Seraphine's trust. He remembered why he was here. No illusion could shake the reason he fought. Finally, he reached the center. A final test appeared, an illusion of Leora in danger again, crying for help as shadows closed around her. Marcus didn't hesitate. He ran toward her, even though he knew it was not real. The moment he reached for her, the entire maze shattered into bright light. When the light cleared, Marcus stood alone in the hall again. The nobles stared in stunned silence. Seraphine stepped forward, eyes shining. "You have passed. Not through force, not through skill, but through courage and heart." The nobleman who had challenged Marcus remained silent. Even he could not deny the result. Leora ran to Marcus and hugged him tightly. "I knew you would win." Seraphine approached, her voice soft but filled with pride. "Marcus Hale, you stand not as a visitor, but as one of us." The entire hall bowed their heads to him, and Marcus felt something he had not felt since leaving Earth belonging. Later that night, Marcus stood on the palace balcony with Leora asleep in his arms. Seraphine joined him quietly. "You changed our world," she said, "and we changed yours." Marcus looked up at the stars. "I think this is where I'm meant to be." Seraphine nodded. "The Aurelii thrive because of the bonds we form. You have given us hope, and you have given my daughter a guardian she loves." Marcus smiled softly. "And I found a family." Seraphine placed a gentle hand on his shoulder. "The galaxy will remember this. The human who shielded the child, the queen who claimed him, and the future they built together." As the night sky shimmered above them, Marcus felt at peace. He was no longer just a human engineer on a distant station. He was the royal guardian of the Aurelii, heir, trusted, honored, and cherished. And for the first time, his heart felt fully at home among the stars.